Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. I don't know. I'm way off. The white guy is off beat.
I really feel like you're. I think you're better than that.
Yeah, something just happened. I don't know. Welcome in 21-6 the net. You're caught in the net. See if I can fade this out. Oh, there we go. Welcome in to Bridging Civil Tension. We feel that it's better to build a bridge than to burn one down.
I think you may have burned a bridge.
You did not pay the toll on that one. Of course, this guy over here is Phil Wallace. He's an entrepreneur, author extraordinaire, coach, mentor, just all around great American.
That's going to be my celebratory dance now. Anytime I hear Ganism, do the kid.
and of course, I'm Kent Jones, the old white guy.
Amazing man of mystery, amazing father, husband, stud.
The old white guy.
Possibly GQ's man of the year.
And of course, Bridging Civil Tension, we talk about things that people argue about.
Right.
And we bring up ideas, concepts, and things that are happening around the Americas. That, thanks, Scott.
Great day, guys.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. And so, the interesting thing is this week marks the 1-year anniversary of what really was the straw that broke the camel's back in 5. I mean, maybe the camel's back was broke. The hump was kind of leveled out, but the death of George Floyd, that's when it popped.
Right.
So my question is, has anything changed since then in the year?
We talked in the green room, and now I'm thinking about it. Yes, but I almost am afraid to put my foot in my mouth.
Isn't that bad, though?
Right?
That's bad, though, right? Yeah.
Where you're like,
we laugh. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's been slow progress, but there have been things that have been put in process and things implemented, and you're excited to see it. But I don't want to have where we were talking the one time about things, saw some signs, and then we had the next show was what a crazy week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in that crazy week where you thought that there was some progress,
like we don't want to jinx it.
There was like 8 cases in just that 1 week alone. But going on the positive side, trying to look for the up and up with things, it does make me happy to see what has been implemented. That there have been military who have spoken up about how things have been going on behind closed doors. There are police officers
breaking the wall of silence.
Silence. Yep. There are things put in process where police precincts are going to get investigated and audited, and they're trying to get things as they should be, right? To make sure that everybody
convictions are being overruled, right? Because of what's been found,
right?
Because especially, and this one that I'm specifically speaking of is down in New Orleans, because an officer spoke up and said, there's been a lot of planted evidence. There's been a lot of bad things happening here.
Right.
And so the courts and everything are starting to look at it, and they're starting to throw things out.
We were, I have another coach that we coach with, and me and him go back and forth, and I love this gentleman. We speak on politics, and it's similar to us, right? We can have open conversation about anything, and we might jaw jack and have fun with it, but it's genuinely all love. And one of the things we're talking about with so many cases being overturned, how does that affect the ratio and the percentages that those stats are then used against certain minorities when you find out that, this amount of those people were actually false victims. This was planted evidence.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I'll say. False evidence, and that person spent 5 years in prison. What are you going to? You don't get that 5 years back.
What is the amount that makes it okay?
Right, and I don't know if there is an amount that makes it okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
now it's equal, right, or whatever.
You saw Lucy when she was 6. Now she's 18.
Right.
But I don't give you 100,000, Kent, and everything. No.
Right. Money don't replace that.
Right.
The scars, the mental. Prison it's not a party.
for some.
Yeah, depends how big you are. Right? Yeah, no, right. So I mean, that's the crazy thing. I think is, yeah, it was falsely accused. Okay, and there's truly it's for the family. It's like, we told you. Now we need to get paid on this because you stole 5 years of my son or my daughter's or my husband's or my wife's life. What's that number?
Do you do $1 million a year? Do you do $2 million a year? Do you?
Well, okay, you were a carpenter, so you were making $50,000 a year. We'll give you, what is it? Right. I don't know. And to your point, what now makes it okay? Or all right, hey, we've now reversed this many, so we're happy.
But it's like, now there were tens of thousands of people who were falsely accused.
Right.
But then you also were able to continue to convict other people based off of this stat line.
That's correct. Now what? Whoops.
What? How do you...
Our bad. Right? I mean, so it is. So, and that's an interesting thing. But I'll say that the movement after the George Floyd death, there's been change. The dial has moved. I don't think the tank is full yet. Right. I don't even know if it's half full, but I know that the dial moved.
Yeah, we just want to get the ball rolling, right, in a positive direction.
Yeah,
get that inertia broken, and then start making progress, and eventually we'll get some momentum. Hopefully, it's not a 50 or 100-year process. But I'll take
or 200.
Slight improvement. Yeah, 400 years.
Right.
Oh, my life, I've had to color purple reference for those who don't know. But as long as there's some progress, we can. I think that there'll be more momentum built, and I think that other people will start to gain courage to speak up and speak out on things that they've seen. I'm a police officer, from a military individual. I feel braver to say, hey, this happens here.
Yeah. So here's, hey, Melissa, how are you? Fingers crossed, she says. Absolutely. Here's a question I have for you. Good morning.
Congratulations on your graduate, Landon, 8th grade Lundahl alumni.
Hey. Here's a question I have for you. The Congress is trying to pass the George Floyd law or something, right?
Which is interesting.
And this is for police reform, right? How do you take that? And if let's say that you're a police officer, are you happy to be doing the George Floyd training? And here's why I ask.
What's the George Floyd training? Like just
well, yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know.
One person can speak up if the other person's doing something they weren't supposed. Because I heard something about that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Where
I haven't read 100% of it, but yes.
Where it's the good apples are allowed to be good apples, and so to speak.
Correct, and that the bad apples are going to be prosecuted.
Right. How am I allowed to? You're allowed to stop me if you see me kneeling. The procedure, as far as so that we don't make a scene in front of witnesses, but it's like a signal where Phil, get up off of this dude's neck. Don't be doing what you're doing.
Right.
Hey, you're planting evidence in a way that like the suspect doesn't hear, hey, you just planted evidence, or people with camera phones can't hear that, but we know,
right.
Hey, you're in the wrong. I don't want to call you out, but
the black dog ran across the street.
Yeah. I would understand, hopefully, and people would do that, is I'd understand the bigger picture of what we're doing, right? Similar to if you're in the corporate world and they do a sexual harassment class. Like, you understand that something happened. They want to prevent it so no one else is uncomfortable. So if I had to sit into a George Floyd training class, if I was a police officer, I get it. And I want to know how to be able to stop a fellow officer.
So I'm not, and this may shock people, and to our listeners out there, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of listeners on the radio station, I am not African American.
What?
I am not African American.
You have deceived me.
I'm going to ask this.
This chicken.
I'm going to ask this.
Please don't.
I'm going to ask this. from a white guy's standpoint, okay, are you
not with those dance moves? Your black card is revoked.
That's right.
Black card is revoked.
I gotta ask, when when you hear Martin Luther King Jr., there's a sense of pride.
Right.
He's a brilliant man, hard-headed but brilliant man. Right. When you hear, any Rosa Parks,
Right.
anything of that nature, there's that sense of pride. So when you hear George Floyd, does that give you that same sense of pride? And here's why I ask. He wasn't a stand-up citizen. Right. He had a past. He was a felon. We know all that.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying, when you hear the George Floyd law, where do you go? Are you proud of that, or are you like, it's about time because of what it means?
Yeah, it was. I would more so say it's about time because of what it means.
Okay.
Flip side, for those who would say something similar, is if I ask any most suburban Americans how they feel about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Edison, all these guys. Oh my God, yes, they're great people.
Leaders.
No, these are slave owners who raped individuals. So on the flip side,
right,
Christopher Columbus. We've praised people who had kind of a faulty record on the other side. So why not this one that actually is going to make some sort of progress for other people and safety?
Why is Columbus he was from Spain, right?
How
is that a Spanish name? Was it El Colombo?
El Colombo. But I feel if America can be able to praise these bad guys for such a long time, then a person should be, I saw that, right? Then we should be able to say, like, he didn't have a perfect record or whatever, but what's in place because of what happened to him is going to be progress for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not just celebrating the exploitation of Native Americans.
Yeah, and that's why I say I get it. I'm not the one whoever names laws or bills or whatever, right. But I would think if I'm a police officer, if I'm one of the good apples, no matter what nationality I am, I don't like it because of the guy's background. That's like going, this is going to be the Scarface,
That, I get it,
right?
But again, if you do a tour of our country,
yeah,
and how many historical places and turnpikes and monuments, and the George Floyd Act is the least of my worries.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as us being able to celebrate something or something named of a person because of their background, on that totem pole, this is probably the bottom, by far.
Well, yeah, but I mean, and you and I have talked about too. We've talked about as well that they passed. When I say they, Congress or whoever, Washington passed an Asian hate law before
they passed anything
overnight.
Against Africans.
Zing.
Oh my God, we can't have all our doctors would be pissed.
Right.
All right, shout out to my Asian friends. I love you guys.
And doctors.
Equal opportunity offender. I promise you I'll get to us. But
right.
Which if you're sitting there, you're kind of like, but all right. Still happy that they did pass that because hate towards anybody is something that should not be tolerated. So you don't want it in place. But man, how we just talked about.
They move quick on that one.
How we just, so you see it. So that way when you're an African-American person and you're told patience, these things take some time. No, they don't. They take a decision.
And a quick one.
Because if it's
overnight,
if it's upset white people or it's upsetting the Asians, I've observed you guys knees to chest. There's some hustle.
Yeah.
But if it's upset our African Americans, we'll get around to it.
Hang in there.
Hang in there, buddy.
Hang in there for another couple hundred years.
It's not so bad. Hey, there's some progress. It went from 100% to 99. So you guys should be happy.
Yeah. So as I sit here and think about it, and whether you're going to Google him now or Wikipedia George Floyd going forward, it's going to be the man who was killed. It's not going to be like, well, he was a drug addict, and you know what I mean.
I think that tell you
right.
They might.
It's hard saying.
They might,
but it won't lead with that.
I hope.
Right. I'm just saying. I can't believe that it will.
I will say that it would be in poor taste, but I can't say that they won't do it.
All right.
Because if you look at when they do, like, as soon as he was, well, he jaywalked and he was chewing bubble gum while doing this, and if you in this state, if you spit on the sidewalk, it's too like, they're gonna bring up all that and then be like, oh, and he got kneeled on for 9 minutes on his neck
and died.
So you're gonna lead with the do-rag pictures, and this is before you talk about he was murdered.
Right.
I can't say that those same people who are gonna write that up won't put he did this, and because of that he was kneeled on.
Sure, but I mean, yeah, and the same people, you know, when someone's struck down, they bring out their 6th grade picture.
Oh, they do it right.
Yeah.
So
he's 45.
Yeah, this was not recent.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to omit certain things to protect other people historically for our country, I can't say that they won't precede the statements with the bad side for this one.
Well, it's conveniently leaving out editing.
Whitewashing.
Yeah.
It's the COVID.
That's it. Got the white out. Never mind. All right. All right. There are some mistakes, and we'll just wipe that.
Lo siento.
Right. So I am pleased, and I'll say that I'm pleased with the progress, with the movement that has happened, because this time last year we didn't think it would.
Crazy.
We really didn't think it would. So as a nation, I'm kind of, hey Tim, how are you, man? And if you ever have a chance, go down to Pineapple Express on Green Street and get the El Santos burger. Had it yesterday for lunch. Absolutely delicious.
That's it?
Yeah. They named it after him. Yeah.
Nice.
El Santos. Absolutely delicious. So the it'll make your nose run. It's good, but it's not overly powerful.
It's spicy?
It is spicy, but it's not overly powerful. It's very good. So the interesting thing, I believe, is now, I think a lot of people are having more conversations a year after.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will also say that there's a wide majority of people who are trying to do this.
Under the rug, yeah.
Sweep it under, let it go away. I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But from graduation speeches that I've heard to, just coffee shop
Congratulations,
talk.
by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It's now more of a topic of conversation, right? And you still have your idiots out there. I mean,
they are.
Ashley says, "Hey, sadly, his past will always come first in most cases, not all. But the comments I see whenever there is something on him it's sickening. People don't understand. Nobody is praising him. We are simply wanting change and for it to stop. I always wonder if Floyd wasn't who he was and was a stand-up citizen, quote unquote, what would be said." No, exactly, and that's kind of that's why I bring it up.
Thanks.
Right?
Speak that real, Ashley.
That's why I bring it up. I mean, the truth is what the truth is, and I'm just thinking, again, from an older white guy's perspective, going, could there have been a better name for the bill or for police reform or whatever? Now, and that's why I asked you, when you think of it, is it do you think of him or the movement it caused? And you said it's the movement it caused.
Movement it caused. I
mean, I don't even know the man.
Here's my thing.
Right?
If during the time, like obviously we see him now, and just because you used the name, and we'll bring it back up. Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King now was looked at as this nonviolent, like today, nonviolent, amazing African American who deserves to be praised. Rewind back to when he was doing what he was doing that is now being praised for. He was the number one threat to America. Quote some politicians.
He was communist.
That he was a communist, that he was this, that he was anti-America, that he was like all these horrible things.
Yes.
So, how do I say? It's my show. I don't think America will find a stand-up black guy. In these situations where they would say, hey, listen, without any certain thing that we can find, I think that if anything happens, they've always looked for something that they could turn against them.
I mean, even Will Smith let himself go.
But he turned that into 60-day challenge or 90-day challenge.
Yeah, he did.
But it was a very awkward picture. I love you, William. You're my favorite actor in the world. But
thanks for listening,
bruh. But it's funny. So
God bless
you can pull it away. But
you made me feel good.
Bro. Like,
you made me feel good. Thanks. No,
but fine. You know, celebrity, whatever. There's always typically something that if they have the opportunity. Oh, this is what he did. Oh, this is what.
Yeah. No, hey, you know, Will Smith traffics children because he's from Hollywood. The Rock is a robot.
He traffics. He does this. They're swinging like even a good, funny individual who brought us the Fresh Prince. Still, there has to be something wrong with.
That's because parents just don't understand.
Why don't you want me, man? Why don't you? That last episode. Sorry, but like, I don't know. I don't see.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't see African American heroes without blemish.
Yeah.
Or something that was planted or alligated. I don't see it.
Yeah.
So, and there are situations where America can say, we took one to the chin, or we're going to tell the whole country to look at this flaw. I've always seen this play ran.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, I mean, if we look at history and what history has proven, you're right.
Name a celebrity, African American or over 50 without some sort of allegation.
George Jefferson?
That's alive.
Oh.
And even then he was accused of anyway.
Yeah. That's right.
So you're sitting, and that's why, like in some of the like hip hop, in some hip hop songs, you just say like all my heroes are either dead or jail or whatever. Like,
yeah,
because you don't get that. You don't get a situation where this person was a hero, this person was a good person, and even if there was a jaywalking thing on this track record, we don't have to lead with that. Because again, that's not what y'all lead with Jefferson. It's not what you lead with anyone else. We can name everything across the country for these bad guys who we know have done bad things.
Yeah.
We can't just let it be like, hey, we messed up. Not praise the person, but focus on
that's
what we
a
did wrong here.
A little bit about what we talked about on the grounds too. Even Tiger Woods mugshot. Yeah, Tim says Tiger Woods even has a mugshot that floats around and pops up to remind us on occasion. Right?
And someone said that it looked like a Dr. Seuss character, and I can't unsee it. And I can't unsee it. And I hope he's healing correctly. Respect Tiger Woods.
Tiger, thanks for tuning in. We love you for that.
We still want you to stay around the jungle, Tiger, but that picture was hilarious. I'm sorry.
It was. Oh, that's funny. You shouldn't have said that.
Right, when you see it,
and you know what? Try living in the public and media's eye as a young African American kid like he was for so long, and then being as great as he was, and the expectations, and then
something's gonna be found. They're gonna find a reason to not like you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's tough. I can't blame my brother for that. Never mind. It's
golf is 18 holes, right?
That's right.
Anyway,
hey,
you're all weak, folks.
That's right. So I'm caught on
Dr. Seuss.
I can see it. It's burning me. Where were we? Oh Lord, been a couple weeks since we've been together. Of course, you're healthy now. Thank you.
Much more, and absolutely missed it. Miss you guys. But so that's where. Looking at it, I don't mind the George Floyd law because I've sat through history classes all through the education career and even today, having things praised or named after or laws or schools or monuments for people that I'm like, man, they did horrible things and we still.
Yeah, and I guess that's where we're short-sighted as Americans. Right?
So then here's my thing. How about when stuff like a George Floyd law is implemented, right? And you see the reaction of people like, oh my God, why would you name something after him? Understand for all the minorities. Then all that stuff that we were talking about last year is like, oh my God, it's our history. Move forward.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy.
No, it's interesting.
And understand if this one bothers you this much, think about the thousands that we have across the country. And maybe those monuments and statues that were pulled, you can a little bit understand why it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why you may not want that. If this irks you or gets under your skin, I promise you, if you really took a step back, this would bother you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting. Good concept, yeah. Keyword is expectation. The world expects everyone to act accordingly, and when they don't, they are dehumanized. Meaning George Floyd, or just convicts in general, or
Ash, elaborate on that, please.
Yeah. So the most important thing, right, is moving forward. You sent me an article a couple weeks ago, about a guy who died in a car accident.
Allegedly died in a car accident.
Right. No, I mean, that's right. Yeah.
So the officers told the family that he died in a car accident. That after that collision, the man hit a tree and passed. And the video footage that was released X amount of time later was him being tased, kicked in the face, etc., and killed by police officers.
2 years later.
2 years later. So then, if I'm a family member, I trusted you guys when you told me that Kent, passed from hitting a tree, and you kicked him in the face and tased him, and then lied. But look, at the same time, what they said was during that time was dash cam and body cams did not work.
We're not working.
So this is once again where, if dash cam didn't work, most time we wouldn't have the show Cops. That was in the 90s.
Right.
But however, in 2020 and 2021, all of a sudden these dash cams and body cams still aren't working when it's situations where this is where I need you to work.
So, so for 2 years, and I wasn't able to read the whole article. How did they find out? Was it somebody speak up?
One of the officers spoke up.
One of the officers that were there spoke up.
Mm-hmm.
So this grinded on this guy's conscience for 2 years, knowing that he was a murderer. Kudos, right? I mean, but now you have a son. I've got 4 kids, and what in the world do you go through and go, wait, 2 years later, you've cried every day, you've missed every day, and now 2 years later, you're like, wait, what? And then you see the footage,
right? And if you don't back the blue, you're the problem in this country,
right? Now I will say that
you don't back the blue.
Now I
problems with you.
I will say that I do back the blue, right?
Right.
I will say that I'm grateful for our police officers. I'm grateful for anybody who does their job correctly.
Absolutely.
Right. In any profession. Right.
I guess what I'm saying more so is if the person, we understand that there's great police officers, and I know.
Well, you can't blind faith, right? What you're saying is just blind faith is like, hey, I got this American flag with blue stripes through it. Okay, but
my son was murdered by that blue stripe.
Right.
How am I supposed to feel?
Right.
I appreciate what this person does, this group does. I understand that, but my son was murdered.
He deserved it.
And they lied. Well, did he comply? That's really what you're going to lead with.
That's all they do.
That's really.
Listen, he should have just sat in the car.
That's really what you're going to lead with. Never mind the fact that they lied to this family for 2 years.
Right.
Now, like you're saying, I applaud the officer for speaking up. I just don't understand the department, the chief, who saw the footage and then said,
"I'll just put it in this Ziploc bag here.
Let's just put this over here. No one needs to know that we kill people and then hide the footage."
That's hard pill to swallow.
That was a mod in Georgia.
Yeah.
They knew. And if it wasn't for the footage that came out 4 months later, hey Jethro, hate to do this. I know we got the bowling championship this Friday, but we got to arrest you, buddy, because the footage came out from when you murdered that dude 4 months ago.
Remember that?
Oh.
I'm appalled. I didn't see it. I don't know. This was the first I've seen.
Me and the wife are watching Jeopardy. Can I come in later? Like, what in the world?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's a ton out there that still aren't coming forward. But that's why I say a year after now, and things are starting to bubble up to the surface.
This is why when we have those conversations, and I'm like, it's not surprising that the footage didn't work, because on one, like I'm not saying on our side, but like
Right.
on our side, we know that there's no footage because they did something corrupt. And so every single time we see these incidences where everyone else talking about compliance, like, look, this could all be done if there's the footage. However, for whatever reason, one reason or another, there's no footage because they're covering up something, is what it seems. Right. And in these situations, you find out that, it was that.
Yep. My goodness. Right. And that is, but then going back to what you said just a little bit earlier is, okay, we still can't get comfortable.
No.
Right.
No.
And here's what's happening. We got the George Floyd police reform law that's trying to be passed, and there's going to be a fight by all the white people in Congress. Trust me, the old white folks that run the country. Trust me.
Do you know that this $20 bill was counterfeit?
Right.
Yeah, but we killed the guy.
Yeah, we got rid of him. The bill? No, the guy who had it. You destroyed the bill? No, we destroyed the man. But the interesting thing is
the $20 bill with the slave owner on it. That's what we're here for. Anyway,
and that was fake. So where we're at as a country is we've moved a couple of spots forward, perhaps, but the game ain't done yet. Right. And then I'm always, Scott Giles on the ground says question everything. I think you always got to kind of have to.
Right.
Why did this Asian hate bill come out so fast? Oh, Lord, we don't need two minorities mad at us.
True.
Right? I mean, what game are we playing?
And, I mean, at the same time, if we're going to, as a country, mistreat Asians, most of our supplies come from...
Our nails aren't going to get done.
Not Africa.
Yeah.
Right. Made in Japan, made in Tokyo. So we can't have that.
Where's the cheap labor coming from now?
Financially, we take a hit, so we can't have that guy. Listen, let's just do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, if I'm watching it move that fast, and I even said this on the show, I'm happy for that law being passed, but with how that is, and then you can't help but get a little bit like, that's messed up.
A little bit.
We've been teammates for the But we've been having this conversation, and you've told us to be patient. I mean, MLK speeches talk about patience all the time and the frustrations of being told to keep waiting and all that other stuff. And I watch you guys hear a group real quickly say in a long time, Asians say that this is not right, and then instantly,
this is not good.
Then instantly, I'm happy for you, but I'm also kind of like, well, why is it that we're allowed to have to keep having the same conversation year after year, going around the same mountain?
So, can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer this, but I wanted to know this answer. You don't have to answer. So
let's do this.
So you get pulled. You're driving to work to train one of your student athletes.
Taj got a Tennessee and Kentucky offer her now.
Whoa, really?
The girl from Grays Lake.
Yeah.
So she's got Syracuse.
She's a sophomore, freshman.
She's going to be a sophomore.
Yeah.
She's got Syracuse, Louisville, Maryland, Tennessee, and Kentucky now.
Man,
super. And she's number 17 in ESPN.
Keep studying, girl.
Twin, proud of you.
Keep studying.
But Landon's going to be up next. Ashley's son's going to be next.
Keep studying. Now, you're driving to train this girl and help improve her life, and the cop car lights come on in your rear view.
Right.
And you're like, boom. Anxiety. Everybody gets it. I don't care who you are, what color, right? Anxiety rises.
Right.
Okay. And you're going, I hope I don't die. And an African-American police officer steps out of that car. Does your anxiety lower?
A little bit. Here's the thing, though. To answer your question first and foremost, a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm also concerned about the partner because, as we've seen, sometimes that partner is the one who actually pulls the trigger, even though this one had it under control. This person was complying. This person had tendency.
I thought he was going for his gun.
Person was tendency. He sneezed. Like,
right.
What?
Right.
So, seeing that, I've made calls to my mom. I've had it on speakerphone. Like, if anything happens, I'm on Miller Road. Blah, 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 like,
yeah.
The anxiety, yes, more so African American, but like you have to be aware of everything.
They're still part of the blue, right?
Right.
Yeah. I've always wondered that. I mean, because again, my anxiety goes up. And you're like, but my anxiety goes up because I'm like, it's going to cost me $200-$300. Shit. I'm not thinking it's going to cost me my life, right? But what I'm saying is, and I've got friends who are police. You do. Keep both hands on the wheel. You let them know what you're doing. Actually, they've told me, as you get pulled over, get your license and registration out. Have it out where they can see it as they approach.
Well, you got to be careful when you're doing that, because if he got out and walked up quickly and he sees you doing this,
right.
But at the same time, like Scott was saying, watch Straight Outta Compton. The police officer that gave them a hard time was black dude.
Right. That's why I asked.
And this may be his manager, and you got to impress him.
Yeah.
And you got to be stern. I just told you about being stern.
Yeah, you're being too nice.
I'm a practice dummy.
Right.
So, to an extent, but at the same time, you never know. I respect you guys for doing your job, and I do love police officers, but just from experience and certain things, I'm still nervous.
Sure, I mean that's interesting. I've always just kind of wondered that, like, okay, let's say it's a midget. You just gotta laugh. I mean, everybody laughs. Your kid gets out the car, and you're looking at your badge. You're looking in your mirror like, where'd he go?
He's got a big badge. He's got a big badge.
Next thing you know, you hear a knock on the side of the door. Hey, buddy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop.
That's wrong.
Because if I get started,
we love our short friends, right?
Love you guys.
I've never seen. In saying that, I've never seen a dwarf or midget police officer. That wasn't a stripper. It's a whole different story. Anyway, that's the way I roll, folks.
There's so many things to say out there. Come on. I'm trying to be good today. I told you I was going to behave. And you're just alley-ooping me so much material.
You're right. It's just think about that, though. You gotta think about that. All right.
After the show, we're gonna.
It's like all these images we're throwing up, and we've been off the air for a couple of weeks. We're throwing images of Dr. Seuss, and now, midget.
Again, as we said, we promise you that it's not just one group or the other. It's going to be everybody. We are the Bernie Mac and Dave Chappelle of.
Oh my God!
Of Talk Radio, we are going to equally offend everybody. This is Larry the Cable Guy.
But now everybody, you know what? Everybody's anxiety. Yes,
you do. Yeah. Yes, you do.
Yeah. Thank you. I need some holy water too. Our green room conversations. We always say we should record.
Water. Why are you taking shots of holy water? Yes. Takes effect quickly.
right.
Straight to the bloodstream.
Yeah. So I think, and I'm going to go back now. We'll get off that, but we'll go back to just as a parent. And I've visited my child's grave for the last 2 years,
right.
and then this comes out. I don't know if I could move. I'd probably sit comatose for a while, like.
You have to, because
right,
if this is not no White
His
Claw.
White Claw.
This is an energy drink.
Yeah, man, it is 9 in the morning and he's hitting the White Claw.
I got more street cred than White Claw.
Right above your head, though, we do have whiskey. So.
Oh. Yeah,
no wonder they think we're drinking. Yeah.
White Claws? You know I'm tougher than that. It's Angry Orchard.
It's Truly. Trulies.
Trulies. Always. Tease up.
That's it. Right? I mean, you hear your boy. Your boy is 16 and he's, out heading to work, because he's working at Walmart or wherever, right? And you get a call, it's like, oh, he hit a tree.
Right. So you go through that, and then 2 years later, like you're saying, hey, actually, officer such and such, and this officer kicked him while he was on the ground, tased him, and killed him. You have to say comatose, because if in that moment, if I speak,
so
it's going to be venom.
Now, and I want angry, and I want everybody to know, I'm not a police officer, but I do watch CSI.
Right.
So the cover up, to your point, how does the chief go? But what do you go and tell the guy who's the examiner that's saying what kind of death it is? Oh yes, I don't see any tase marks or kicks to the face. Right. He died from a car accident. So cause of death, car accident.
So there's no tree branch, there's no bark, there's no bruises from where he hit the tree.
Trauma, other than a boot mark on his face.
However, there's a boot size 11 that's identical to this.
So this ran deeper.
Taser. Yeah. So.
And everybody in there. Oh, I pulled this guy out who got hit by. I'm the second examiner or whatever, a medical examiner. So I pull it out and go, oh, it doesn't look like he got hit by a tree. Hey, listen, Kent, you got hit by a tree.
Hey,
put that shit back in there.
It was a tree,
right?
So then the same coach that I was talking about says, there is no such thing as systemic racism.
Okay,
there was a system in place that allowed a man to be killed by police officers. The examiners, the chief, the other officers covered it up.
Yeah.
That's systemic. Where I know as a chief, hey, listen, in these situations, send him to Kent. He knows the routine. We've done this a few times.
But Kent's a veterinarian. We know.
Tell him to run motion. He'll know what that means. He knows what that means.
He knows what that means. And I guess that's where we have to understand or come up with a definition of systemic racism. Does that mean that the system created it? Does that mean that the system allows it? Does that mean that the system?
Both.
You know what I'm saying?
Both.
So,
because racism is what? We created the hate, and there's also a system that perpetuates the hate. There's also a system that allows the hate. That is all under the umbrella of the racism and how it works.
We allowed the hate. We can create it. I mean, now the media is doing a great job trying to spin and create that divisiveness, right? But if we go way, way back, when the kings and queens were coming over on the boat to be slaves, the system, I don't think, allowed me as a white landowner to hate you. Right?
No,
I think
I'm saying, like, the people
because hey, I laid down with several of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
How do these light-skinned kids? Kent's always whistling.
Right? So
he's whistling these Negro spirituals.
Don't ask him to dance. So I mean, I think the system allowed hate, allowed lynchings. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, they're your property. Obviously, you can do whatever. Hey, I can do whatever I want to in my house. Right. I mean, we still hear that today in 2021.
Right.
Can you?
Right. You should.
Maybe not. Right. So I think a person can hate a person. I don't know if the system allowed the hate.
Yeah, I mean,
and the
people who hate this race chose to work for this department. Mm-hmm. Other people who hate this race all work in this department. So it is people who hate people, but we know here you can safely hate them and we'll cover up for you. Which is now creating more incidences where, okay, this could have been a traffic stop, or I could take a life and you guys are going to cover up for me and they'll cover up for me too.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's creating more because I now feel confident doing whatever I want to, knowing that you guys have my back to cover it up.
So there's the story, and you know this story well because you do a lot of public speaking. The story goes is that there are 6 chimpanzees in a room, and there's a metal pole with a bunch of bananas at the top, right? And every time these chimpanzees start climbing up that metal pole, when they get close, they get doused with cold water,
right?
And they scream, and they drop down. Right. Pretty soon, they start pulling down the one that's trying to climb because, hey, you're going to get sprayed by this cold water. So they replace one chimpanzee at a time, and so now they have learned to pull the person or pull the chimpanzee off the pole,
right? And they don't even know why.
That's what we're talking about. That's systemic,
right?
That's systemic racism. That's systemic anything. When you're doing something and you don't know why,
right?
That's part of you falling into the system.
I thought you were going to throw me a curveball when you did that. You're like, there's a story of a lovely lady. I thought you were going to bring...
She's bringing up 3 very lovely girls.
I thought you were going to Brady Bunch right there.
That's right. I think they had a black person on Brady Bunch once.
Did they?
I think.
Was it like in the hallway of a school in Pasadena?
I think, wasn't that the guy with the cigarettes and traded coats? So he was portrayed as the bad guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Had to be. Got these watches, man.
Yeah, people don't have to be allowed to hate. They choose to hate. Yeah, I agree. Then that's what I mean. People choose to hate. The system allows the hate to happen without.
That's the whole thing. If I know that whether it's mortgage, whether it's situations like the murder, and then being able to have the person who's going to do the audit of the viewing of the body and determine cause of death.
I mean, as I was just sitting here, I'm like, wait, it runs a lot deeper than that. I mean, it goes all the way up to the person who stuffed them and put makeup on and got them ready to be put in the ground.
So this is, label it what you want. If someone gets their feathers ruffled from the term systemic racism, there's still something in place.
Yeah. Where
racism or corruption, if you don't like systemic racism, systemic corruption, or organized corruption, whatever you want to call it, still the same thing, to take place and there's no consequences for it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But we're seeing that it's here. They have it. Why aren't we trying to stop that?
Right.
Instead of not you, but instead of arguing over the terminology, we're seeing that it's here. Whether you want to call it systemic racism or organized corruption, this is still happening. Now, is it only a problem if that happens to Asians? Or if that happens to white people? Because if this, well, look, Phil, there's no such thing as systemic. Well, my son was murdered. Is it only a problem if it's Mei Ling or Ashley Jones? Like,
or even now, a lot of our Muslim friends.
Well,
there's some racism there.
Absolutely. But I feel in our country, not my opinion, in our country, they're with us on this one, that if it happens to us, the country's not going to get bent out of shape.
Yeah.
Now, I would still say, like, if it happens to anybody, that's wrong. But that group is similar to my group, where that doesn't move the country.
None.
White emotions and apparently Asians move the country.
Right. And there. So here's the issue I have. We see this, right? So now we've brought this up about this, and then the media stops. We never know the outcome. You have to go searching for it, right? So we see this article, which raises it.
Mm-hmm.
But what doesn't happen is we don't see that this man and this entire staff is being replaced. They all have the death penalty or whatever. You know what I mean?
Because that doesn't happen.
We don't ever see the finality of it. And with anything, we don't see the finality of what happened to a mass shooter that didn't kill himself.
Right.
You have to go look for it, because the finality, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead, right? It's not the wow factor. But why isn't this case, and it may be down there, I don't watch the news, but why isn't this case splattered all over social media, the news, everything about this trial for these people who murdered this guy?
We know the answer. We've talked about the answer a dozen times.
But it's got to start bothering people.
It bothers certain people. For other people, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Because if you knew that, 2 years later, or a year later, whatever the case may be, that, hey, when we made the announcement that he was arrested, and we made the announcement that he was, accused of this crime, and you're thinking that they're going to go to jail for 15, 20 years, and you find out that they're going to do 12 months or 24 months.
And we took their badge.
They're fired. You can't work in Crystal Lake Police Department, but you can work in Cary, Algonquin, Lake in the Hills, Woodstock. If that is announced, then we have to have the conversations of how is it that this group can kill this group, and that's the only thing that happens. Right. And we don't want to have that conversation. We want to let you guys have a little breadcrumb that, hey, they were arrested, and look, it says of murder, so why can't you be happy? Because I know he's going to get out in 12 months. I know that 24 months later, he was back on the street with a job at the neighboring police department.
That's why I say you should, it's like, You got the apps where child molesters or whatever are in your neighborhood. How about dirty cops? You know what I mean?
I would.
Whoa, Jerry! I didn't know you're a dirty cop.
If I didn't value my life,
right?
I wouldn't make that up. But there's a reason why it's the blue wall of silence, and there's a reason why it's the never.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's coming down. There's the guy, like we talked about a little bit earlier, who said, "Listen, this is wrong." Of course, it was an African American police officer who stepped up. And you want to talk about big balls? I mean, down south, African Americans step up to break that wall of silence. Woo-hoo-wee. Again, though, I haven't heard the rest of the story. I haven't heard the end of it. Right?
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
you can't be in Louisiana.
They
don't take too kindly to talking like that.
So that's what I mean. I mean, and of course it's worked, and it's got a lot of, as we talked about, a lot of things. There you go. Good example is Dylan Roof wants his death penalty overturned. Why isn't that being talked about? Why is it that not being put out for people to be mad about? Right. The judicial system is never on trial. His requests shouldn't have been considered. I don't know who Dylan Roof is.
Dylan Roof is the white kid who went into the black church in South Carolina, killed 8 people, and then was handed Burger King, I believe.
Yeah.
After killing 8 people,
he wants it overturned. I don't even know why he's allowed.
Officers got him food.
They do it like they did.
Hey, we're going to jail. Can you make this left? You guys want anything? Yes. It's on me. Let me get a double Whopper. What? My wallet's is in my back pocket. I can't reach it, but you guys can get it. It's on me.
Hey, the roof is on fire.
So what she's saying is, this white kid went to a black church, killed 8 people, got food, refreshments, and then his trial is going to be where he's trying to get it overturned. Why not?
Right. So he already has been found guilty and given the death penalty.
Right.
Now he's trying to, whatever.
Similar to the police officer in Dallas who thought this is my apartment. It was the black dude's apartment, who she didn't know but found pictures with him later on. But she killed him in his apartment. 2 ounces of weed was the thing they led with.
Yeah.
Versus the police officer. And when she was sentenced, now she's trying to get her sentence reduced to 2 years. So you went into the wrong house, murdered a person. You were sentenced to 15, but you're going to get 2.
And again, going back to the system, this is right. So this is what we're talking about. Is the system doesn't stop with the police. The system goes up into court systems or, hey, listen, and that's why I always say it's a court of law. It's not a court of just.
Right.
And there's always loopholes in laws. And if you have a good attorney, they will find it.
Right. And
if you have an attorney who wants to make a name for him or herself, they'll find it. Right? And first of all, as a human being, why would you go, okay, Dylan, I'll take that case. You wait. So you're a kid in jail and you don't have any money to pay me. You know what? I will take that case. That sounds prosperous. What? No, that doesn't happen. What happens is there's people funding. Hey,
that person.
Here, Phil, listen to this money ripple. Why don't you try this case for us?
You saw how much money Kyle raised.
Yeah, from Ricky Schroeder or whoever it was. I don't even know who it was. Somebody out there.
So there's people who are funding hate.
So, yeah. So, I mean, so when you take a look at it and again, I think we as white people need to start saying, okay, I get that there are instances, I get, but maybe there is a problem. Maybe there is systemic.
Chances of me breaking into or going into a McHenry apartment, killing a white woman, and getting my sentence reduced from 15 years to 2. Highly freaking unlikely. And no one would care that Rebecca Elizabeth had 2 ounces of weed. What were you doing in her apartment? Why did you shoot her?
Yeah.
But the lady in Dallas can break into this black dude's apartment, shoot him because she thought it was hers. And there's an opportunity for her 15 to be dropped down to 2. How?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'd have to take a look at it and see what the law is and see what angle they're trying to. But you can't guess why he's claiming.
I don't know that one.
No, I don't know either. Because I don't know.
Whatever the reason we have
insanity, right? I mean, that's the fallback.
But you were normal or not normal, obviously.
Obviously you're not normal.
But you were fine-ish for all this time, and then now 5 years later,
all of a sudden, whoops! You know what, mate? Well,
the voices told me, like,
maybe now I identify as a leopard.
Bingo, insanity.
Yeah. See, come on.
Is he going to do the Jiffy thing?
The system's insane if they allow that.
Is he going to do the Jiffy thing from Training Day? Peanut spread.
All right. So, but here's the real truth. The real truth is, because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean that it's not there. I know a lot of people who did not get COVID. Doesn't mean that it was not there.
Right.
It affected me. It's there.
It's there.
Right? It is a real thing.
A girl in our group heard her dad pass. Her dad passed. So when people are saying, well, why do we have to wear this? Bro, it's real.
Yeah. Well, now it's interesting because people are getting mad if you're not wearing a mask. And there's a lot of people vaccinated. Right? Like, all right, well, whatever. So the interesting thing, I think, is since a year has been removed from the George Floyd death, and that's kind of where we all, a year has passed is what we're talking about, is I think that more people, I think that more people who didn't think it affected them have now started conversations or looked at and said, yeah, there might be a problem here.
All right.
There just might be a problem. And I think that it's gone away from being an R or a D, right. And it's just like, no, these are human beings and there's a problem.
Right.
We need to kind of figure it out. Now, this is what I'll say as I sit quietly by myself. I won't do anything about it, but I do think that there's a problem. And again, if you don't address it, you bless it.
Right.
Period. There you go. So you have an opportunity, like you said, okay, you have an opportunity to speak on it. Speak on it.
Do so.
Yeah.
We would love to hear, though, if there was a problem, what solutions would people bring to the table? I know that a lot of people love complaining or just denying that there isn't one. If there was, what solutions could you bring to the table?
Yeah. And here's what I think needs to happen. And I shared this on the grounds this morning. I have to start looking at you as a human being, not a problem, not an issue, not a black man, not a man, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And whatever you do to make you happy, I've got to say, good for you.
Right.
As long as it's not harming your fellow man, right? Or woman, whatever, right? But I think that until we're able to just go, hi, Phil.
Right. What's up?
How's your day going, right? And when until we can stop trying to force our thoughts or beliefs onto somebody else in the world, then we're always going to have that problem.
Always. Right?
But just because you're different, just because of your skin color, just because of the way you talk or don't talk, hey, man, if you're happy, I should be happy that you're happy and just let it be. Right?
You would think so.
And, as we wind down too, does anybody else hate the 1950s music? I just don't like it at all.
Bro, I just don't understand how you do not.
I just don't like it at all.
When I hear Sugar, All Honey Honey, I light up. Sincerely. Yeah. We were bumping these hot jams earlier today.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I don't know. I just don't like that.
What's wrong with
I just
Archies?
Don't like that era of music. And look, Ashley says bingo, Ken.
Or the Hood Classics.
I'm going to copy this and keep it for the rest of every show.
No, Bingo Kent was insanity.
Do not. I know, but hey, I love it. Yeah, see, I'll just use that for all of my comments. I'm just going to save this, and every time just flash it up. Bingo Kent.
Bingo Kent.
Thanks, Ash. Appreciate it.
glad someone feels the same way.
That's right. God, I love that movie. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. All right. So, hey, you know what? Thanks. I'm glad you're healthy. Have a great long weekend. A lot of basketball this weekend, or no?
Nope. Season is over for right now.
So it sits for a couple weeks.
Last weekend was the last weekend. So
a lot of medals over there.
A lot of medals. A lot
of champions.
Gold, all of them. But they are going to have high schoolers are going to be going on their high school camps coming up in the next week or two.
Yeah, June. Yeah.
We will be doing training up at Life Zone, just like skill stuff. And then they'll have a tryout June 12th, and then July will be that season for tournaments and things like that.
I'm gonna bring Lucy up there. Friday nights, right?
For
training.
Afternoons.
Cool.
Lifting at Sierra CFit for the weight training side. And we go to Life Zone, get some shots up, go through different drills, tackling the rim, threes, mid range. Get right season.
There it is. All right. Hey, for all of us 21-6 in that, we're blessed. Thank you, Humbled, for getting caught in the net with us. Bridging civil tension, always where building a bridge is better than burning a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it. The brilliance of my friend over here, Phil Wallace, makes the show, so I appreciate it. Missed you for the last couple weeks.
Missed you too.
Yeah.
To leave the Kent Jones dance.
That is even worse than that.
Man, yeah. That was a hitch moment. I really wanted to be like,
That's worse. That's worse than the Carlton. All right, everybody, come back next week. Oh Lord.